Join us as we discuss Metroid Zero Mission, the next episode of the Time Hop Podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Time Hop Podcast. I'm your host, David Lozada. I'm joined with Lindsay Schubert.
Hello.
In case you don't know, the Time Hop Podcast is a podcast that plays games of the past to let you know if they're worth playing today. Today's episode is all about Metroid Zero Mission, but before we jump into that, Lindsay, how was your week? How you doing?
Good. Trying to figure out more things as for moving, making a bunch of lists of things I need to remember.
Good.
Moving's
That's good.
coming up real soon. It's probably like 2-3 weeks. So, being on my own and shit, it's weird to think about.
Yeah, but you're
But,
preparing. That's good. So,
yeah.
mm,
I'm moving in with my best friend, so should be a lot easier, but at the same time, it's also a lot more scary because I don't want anything to, come between us.
yeah, I know what
And
you
I've
mean.
been friends with her since around freshman year of high school, so that's been about 8 years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it is daunting, a daunting experience, but as long as you prepare, which it sounds like you're doing right now, and I'm thinking you'll be okay, and I know you've been looking a lot of jobs and stuff like that and security, so you're a smart person. I'm not worried.
thanks.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into news of the week. Lindsay, what's your news story this week?
Okay, so, posted, I think this was, 2 days ago, IGN posted about a very exciting thing being added to the sports realm. The French Fencing Federation recognizes lightsaber duels as a competitive sport, and I could imagine that's very exciting for both nerds and sports people.
Yeah, enthusiast. It's so interesting. Just as you were saying that, I was thinking about like esports. I was like, man, this is like a whole like another different thing, like nerd sports or whatever. I don't know how you would call this, but like, it's just so interesting. I was telling Lindsay before the recording, I took a sociology class once, and I did like this little mini study, this little mini report on this like subcultures, and the subculture that I decided to talk about was lightsaber groups, lightsaber clubs, I guess they're called. I don't remember the terminology exactly, but these people, they really go out of their way to kind of like, they curate the crystals, so they use like real life materials to kind of curate their own lightsabers and stuff like that. And then they somehow get chemists involved, and they have like their own factory or whatever, like that they give the materials to, and they kind of mix it all together, and they mix the lights, the color of the lightsabers, so that it really is very personalized, just like in Jedi lore and Star Wars lore. So it's really like a really big deal in that kind of community. I'm guessing this is somehow a tribute to that community. So I'm happy for them that they're making strides, I guess. Um, I don't think I ever do that because it sounds very labor intensive, and that's like not even talking about the actual, fencing part, the actual fencing aspect of the sport. I'm just talking about like just building a lightsaber. you know,
Yeah.
um, but it sounds cool. I hope that nobody's limbs get cut off. I guess, um, in the making of this, and yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool.
I think that it's really cool, and I'm trying to pull up the article, but I'm having trouble. So I'll just go into my ideas for what uh like how far they could go with lightsaber fencing. I think it would be really cool if they build out the environments that are in Star Wars. Um,
That'd be cool. Like,
yeah, like that would be.
yeah.
I don't know too much about Star Wars because I only saw two movies 2 years ago. So, but I think that would be one really cool aspect of the lightsaber duels.
Yeah, I mean, there could be like from like the first episode, like Darth Maul versus like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something like that. I don't know, like really like epic fights, like recreated or something. And maybe it's more like maybe they'll have like professional fencers do this in Disney World or something. Like something like that. But then it will inspire other people to get into fencing and uh, do lightsaber battles too. So it's just really cool. And it's a cool sport. I've never done it myself, but just looking at it, just viewing it, like the Olympics and stuff like that, it seems like a really cool kind of activity when you're not playing video games and killing your eyeballs. So it seems, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that it exists.
About like, I think what you said about Disney World, I think it would be cool if they put on like a lightsaber uh, type of show, like fencing show, where you have the actors doing cool tricks while they're fencing each other.
Yeah, like they're flying in the air, or like I don't know, like you have like these actors. Maybe it's like a time lapse, and it's like throughout the entire saga, and it starts with like Darth Maul in the beginning, like Phantom Menace, and then it goes all the way to like um, the Force Awakens, where it's Rey versus what's this guy? What's the guy's name? The guy with Kylo Ren, and like stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and I'm surprised they haven't done it already. To be honest, right now in Disney World they just have like stormtroopers walking around, and that's really it. So, but a lot of potential there. Very excited. As for what I chose this week, my new story this week is all about Reggie Fils-Aimé. He's leaving Nintendo of America as president. He's hanging up the presidential credentials, and he's kind of bequeathing it to Doug Bowser, who was the senior vice president of sales and marketing, and he'll be leaving in April on April 15th. Reggie was there for 15 years. It's kind of hard to imagine, like him leaving, because I feel like I grew up with this guy. So it's sad, but he said he's leaving to like his quote was really emotional. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna spend a lot more time with my wife, my family, and I'm gonna be a fan just like you guys. And it was really it's really touching. I suggest you really go on Nintendo of America's Twitter and you check that out yourself, because it's really nice. And Reggie's just a nice guy in general. I'm very glad that he's retiring in good health and that everything's okay with him. And yeah, yeah, he was a great president. Do you have fond memories of Reggie Fils-Aimé, Lindsay?
I didn't. I thought it was weird at first seeing him at the E3s because I was like, who is this guy? Back in the day,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
I was used to Miyamoto, but no, like. Reggie, for some reason, is just so likable.
Yeah.
Like every time I bring him up to my other Nintendo friends, we're always just like Reggie, Reggie. We just love Reggie for whatever reason.
Yeah, he's
Um,
just like a nice guy, you know? Like he just
yeah,
seems like every time he speaks it's very like scripted and it's very like he doesn't like I don't know, like it doesn't feel natural when he speaks, but like at the same time he's very personable person. He seems like a nice guy, you know, like a nice guy who would be like a nice grandpa or like a nice dad or something, you know? Like that's just how he is. I don't know how to explain it better than that. And you know,
yeah,
it's a little sad, but everyone has to go sooner or later, right? So, you know, I'm not like mad or anything. You know, he's not leaving in a bad uh, in a bad light or anything. He's leaving when the company is in good spirits and Nintendo Switch is doing really well and et cetera, et cetera. So good for him. Very happy for him.
yeah. As I said, it's kind of weird, but even and I was 9 years old. I remember a time when Reggie wasn't president, so it'll all be okay.
Yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be all right. Then Japan is the one that's pulling all the strings over there anyway. So, you know, these are just puppets, kind of. Not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you, Reggie, for everything. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you. All right, moving on to the topic of the show. Just so happens to be a Nintendo game. We're celebrating the 15th anniversary of Metroid Zero Mission. It originally came out February 9th, 2004 for the Game Boy Advance. For those of you who don't know too well about Metroid Zero Mission or too young to remember or have never played a Game Boy Advance game ever, it's actually a remake of the 1986 game, the very original Metroid. And it's kind of designed to retell the story while also like kind of introducing a modernized form of gameplay. So basically, a rough kind of summation of what happens. It stars You say Samus, right?
I say Samus.
Samus,
I
yeah.
heard one of my friends call him Seamus, so I don't know.
Seamus? Oh my god. Seamus? That one I never heard. Okay, Samus. What did we agree on? Samus, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Samus. Okay, Samus. So it stars Samus, and she travels to this planet called Zebes, and she's basically trying to kind of stop these space pirates from experimenting with these Metroid alien creatures and stuff like that. It's really about exploration because you're really kind of thrown into this alien planet and you don't know what the hell is going on. And so like a lot of the game's atmosphere is it's designed, I should say, to be very kind of mysterious, very kind of foreign, exotic. Because it's a remake, it introduces a lot of new elements, and these new elements are like new items, additional areas, mini bosses, difficulty levels. So yeah, it got great reviews at the time of its release, but we're revisiting it to let you know whether or not it's worth picking up a Game Boy Advance and playing it again. So let's talk about it. So Lindsay, what did you think of the game's presentational aspects, its aesthetic? Do you think it's pretty, or do you think it's dated by 2019 standards?
No, I like it. I think it's completely fitting for a Game Boy Advance game and a remake of an S game. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it lives up to my standards of what I'd expect in that area for a remake.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be quite honest with you, like I like this like 2D aesthetic of Metroid probably better than I do I don't know. You know, Samus Returns, right? The most
Uh,
recent one,
yeah, I know, yeah.
the one for 3DS. That one, I didn't like the 3D kind of aesthetic of it. I felt like it was very like, I don't know. It didn't feel very natural to me. This to me feels a lot more natural. And I don't know if it's because of Metroid's roots as obviously as a 2D shooter, but it feels like a nice, like, cool arcade game, and somehow or other, like the world to me, it feels more alive somehow when you have like these 2D elements kind of popping off the screen. I don't know why I prefer it better that way, but maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe it's just because I like retro games so much. But yeah, if you like that kind of retro aesthetic, then this is definitely something that you should try out. And if you haven't already, because um, they really did a really good job compared to 1986. I mean, this is really impressive. I would say. Uh, so talking about the game's sound design kind of presentation, what did you think of the music of Metroid Zero Mission?
You could definitely tell it's because it sounds like it's um like remade, improved from the 1986 version, but you could also still tell it's you know the music, it's retro. It sounds very classic. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it. As far as I could tell, like I did watch the tool assisted speedrun of it, just the first few minutes, and there were like no problems with the audio or the music. So I mean that's a good thing, but the music it also it comes through well. Like like I said, it sounds like it's more advanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could definitely tell that they kind of went back and reorchestrated a lot of the tunes here from the original, because the original is very like it's very like chip tune kind of music, which is fine because it was 86. You can't really expect them to have some kind of wonderful orchestral score there. Here, though, there's a lot more nuances in the music, and because they remade the presentational aspects, they remade kind of a lot of the environments, so the environments are more dynamic and stuff like that. You really kind of feel like this is much more, because of the music, I'd say it's much more alive. And I think it has like these sci-fi elements in the musical score, like these alien X-File kind of themes that makes you really feel like you're alone, and that you're in a strange place, kind of. This is a
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi game. This is very much an extraterrestrial exploration game. So they really kind of nail that home, where it's kind of like you're on this planet and you don't know where the hell you are, but you're just there because you have to carry out mission and stop these space pirates from doing whatever. But in essence, you as Samus don't know anything about this place, and it's kind of scary, you know. And I think the music does a good job of it, because it's again, it's so out there, it's so weird. Um, yeah, I think the music really drives that home. I mean, the presentation obviously is a key role there. With like the dark kind of backgrounds and the sinister looking kind of enemies that are kind of like, I don't know, like they're kind of not apathetic, but um, they lack emotion. But I think that's kind of like, it makes them more animalistic and more kind of like just these things that eat, and they're just bestial. They just eat and they feed, and they you know just like things in real life. Like you can't really expect them to have human emotion, and it's the same kind of um, thing that's kind of touched on in the music. It's just very uh, I don't know, like it lacks emotion, but in a good way. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh, what did you think of the game's gameplay? Did you think it played right? I know this is a really big speed running game, so what did you think of that aspect?
Um, yeah, I mean, since you also said it, like, as I said, I did watch the tool assisted speed run of it, and um, it's pretty amazing watching the speed run. Um, everything's, of course, going so quickly. Samus is going from room to room, you know, like barely going on platforms just to this tool assisted. It's easier to do such things because, uh, you're doing that like in a program, not real time.
Right.
So, you just make every little amount of movement that you need to make. You don't do any more than that because that would waste time. So,
Mm-hmm.
you Samus would go to a room, get an item, and then go right out, like in a matter of seconds. And like another example is, I don't know which boss it is. I think it's the first one in the game. It's this huge, like, bug-like thing. Just
Yeah,
like,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like towering over Samus,
The
and
one
it
that
has
swoops, like,
legs.
yeah.
It might swoop. I don't remember. He was only there for like a second because right when he entered, the speedrunner like shot him, and then he was just gone. Like not
Oh,
the boss, but the speedrunner just left the room after shooting the boss once. So
so I'm assuming that it just defeated the boss right then and there. Wow, wow. I
I
don't.
mean, he might have. I don't. I don't know. I don't know if he defeated him or if he was just able to leave after shooting him because of the invincibility frames. But
Uh,
like, it was insane. So
it must be
I think
fun.
I think things like that, like it really accentuates the game,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, I think
it's
this is a really good game. Sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah, no,
interrupt you.
it's fine.
I think this is a really good speedrunning game, but it paradoxically, like not to not to contradict myself, but it's also a very meticulous game too, in the sense that there are a lot of platforming sections and there are a lot of environmental hazards like lava and gaps in the floor and stuff like that, and enemies too, like especially on harder difficulties. They're a lot hard. It's a lot hard. It could be a really punishing game, if you want it to. So I feel like it's if you're speedrunning this game, you have to be you really have to kind of know the ins and outs of it, and having a having a machine kind of assist you. I think that's um, good, especially if you're just starting out with the game or you don't know it too well, because I feel like it's a game where you really gotta nail like precisely where you're gonna land, precisely where you're gonna hit a boss, precisely how to get past enemies and stuff like that. And I'm sure that's the case with many other speedrunning games like Mega Man X that we went over a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
But I feel like it's especially the case with Metroid Zero Mission, just because I feel like a lot of rewards too, like the gallery images in the end, they're kind of intrinsically uh, uh, linked to speedrunning or to harder difficulties and stuff like that. And I think you have to beat it like something like 6 to 8 times in order to unlock every gallery. So yeah, it's a lot of work. It sounds like, but it sounds like fun too. It sounds like a good challenge. So, yeah, I think the gameplay in Metroid Zero Mission is very. It's kind of like Metroid at its finest. Like that and Super Metroid. We'll get to Super Metroid next month, celebrating its anniversary next month. But yeah, these are two really good pillar kind of Metroid games, and I'm happy that that we got to cover them. So on that note, Lindsay, do you think that Metroid Zero Mission is worth playing today?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably say that about several of the Game Boy Advance remakes. Um, I I believe that I beat my first Mario game, and it was the Super Mario Brothers 3 remake on the Game Boy Advance. Like, it's not only about the game itself, it's also about the experience on the handheld.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely gives you a different perspective of the game, and I think it's worth it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. I'm no stranger to playing mobile games, and I'm sure most people in the world they know what a mobile game is at least. Not that I play them religiously, but there's a big difference in playing a game on your phone and playing a game like to me on a handheld console. Like when I feel like I'm playing like on 3DS or PS Vita or Game Boy Advance, it's like this very like, man, it makes me feel like a kid again. Like a very nostalgic kind of quality to it. And I
yeah,
feel like this is like one of those games that really will really take you back. Like Pokemon. I feel like it's the same with Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red too. Like these are just one of those games that because it's still in that 2D aesthetic. It's still because it's a remake of the original 1986 Metroid, and because it's um, very very linked to it's grounded in the foundation. I feel like it's such a good cool game to play. You know, if you're having I know I've used this expression before, but like if you're having a sleepover with your friends or something, and you want to or like a friend is over in general, and you want to be nostalgic together and play some retro games. This is a really good game to play. If you have especially if you have like the GameCube, how they had like a game, like the GameCube adapter for the GBA games. I feel like it's a really cool game. Like it's a really cool thing to like just plug in and play like on your TV too. If you don't feel like bending over and watching your friend play it on his or her Game Boy Advance, it's cool to play on TV too. So yeah, I definitely recommend this game too. So if you have a Game Boy Advance and a copy of Metroid Zero Mission in your local game shop, or if you happen to find it online, definitely pick it up. I feel like it's definitely worth kind of checking out and replaying. That about wraps up our impressions of Metroid Zero Mission. Thank you for joining us for this topic of the show. Next week, we're going to talk about Halo Wars, which, believe it or not, is actually celebrating its 10th anniversary. Man, I remember when that game was announced. Wow.
I remember playing it at GameStop, and me and my friends were just like, don't know how to play this game. So we
Yeah.
just started playing something else.
Yeah, it was a really I remember when it was announced, it was very it was kind of like a big kind of thing because people were like, wow, like it had a really cool trailer with I think it was the Covenant and the Spartan, right? The Spartans. That's what they're called.
Yeah, the Spartans.
And they were kind of like driving up in warthogs and like through like this snowy terrain and like driving up straight up to the Covenant, and like they were fighting. It was like so cool, and I was like, yo, this is like a war simulator, like a Halo war simulator. And then I was like, and then I learned that it was like an RTS game, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm skipping this. I was like, for the first time ever, I was really excited about Halo. This was before Halo
Like
3,
I was
so
like even knowing I I might have known before trying to play it that it was RTS, but getting into the gameplay, I just didn't get it at the time. Now I probably would, but this is, 10 years ago, so I was just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I was a kid, so it wasn't really. I mean, we were both kids, so it wasn't really like very accessible to us. But we'll be playing it next week, and it might be accessible to us now. Who knows? So join us again next week for Halo Wars. All right, so what are we going to be playing next week? Lindsay, what are you going to play next week?
As usual, I'm still finishing up Pokemon Quest. Probably go back to 20 Oxygen Rank 2, speedrunning. More Super Mario Party. Both of those would be on my stream, my Twitch stream, and from Miss Red Yoshi.
Go check it out. Subscribe.
Yes.
Stream.
Oh yeah, the one game. After Charge is free to play on Steam for the next 2 to 3 days over
After
the
Charge?
weekend. It's a really good game. So it's like attackers versus defenders. It's online multiplayer. So the attackers try to wipe out all of the defenders. Like all the defenders, like what are they called? They're like glass pods, I guess. Where those pods, I'm not sure of their correct name, but the defenders charge up there, and the defenders can also go invisible. This is at least in the last patch of the game that I played. I played the beta of it. Now it's officially released. They officially released it in like October last year, and I played the beta back in like April. So, yeah, that's at least what I played of it, my experience.
This is just for PC?
Yeah, it's on Steam. It might also be on Xbox, but I'm not sure. But I know for sure it's on Steam.
And it's called After Charge, you said?
Yeah.
After Charge.
It's a really good game. It's pretty much like hide and seek. More complex hide and seek.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Huh. I've never even actually heard this game. So, cool. Cool. I might check it out.
You should definitely check it out at some point. When it's not free to play, it's originally $20. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I have good incentive then. As for what I'll be playing this weekend, I might be playing Terraria, maybe with Tim.
Oh yeah, that's right. We plan on that, yeah.
Yeah, we're planning on doing that. I know nothing about that game. I mean, I know Tim and you too, Lindsay, you explained it to me, but I'm still kind of like, okay. I don't really know what to expect too much about it. I'm very used to playing like story-driven first-person games, or like story-driven third-person games, or FPSs or something like that. So like this will be new for me. So I'm looking forward to that. And what else will I be playing? I'm looking into actually like playing some games that I own that I've never played yet. So something like Until Dawn. I never played that game. I kind of want to. And another PS4 exclusive, Bloodborne, which I've never got around to playing, and I have it just sitting there. Yeah, I mean, huh?
Have you played Dark Souls yet?
I have not played Dark Souls, no.
Okay.
Am I screwed then? I'm pretty screwed. I'm pretty sure I'm screwed. I play a little bit of Demon Souls.
Well, considering you don't, because I haven't played Bloodborne yet, but playing Dark Souls 1 for me, oh my gosh. it kills a part of me.
Okay, well, I might not be playing Bloodborne then. You kind of make me
You should
scared.
still try it, but I'm sure that like I'm pretty sure that a part of you will die when like
Oh no, I'm
because
worried.
those games are just so difficult.
Oh no, I'm so scared now. Okay, maybe until dawn. Maybe that's gonna be the priority, and Bloodborne is a little or a lot later. I don't know. to TBA to TBD. All right. So that about wraps up this episode. Thank you for joining us, everyone. You can catch Lindsay at Red Yoshi over on Twitter. You can catch me, Dave Lozada, at XenoCreator125 on Twitter. Thank you for joining us again for this lovely episode of the Time Hop Podcast. Join us next week for Halo Wars. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.